we're gonna get things rolling very soon. We just got to get some technical stuff figured out, get Discord figured out, and we should
All
be
right.
on our way.
I it shouldn't be lagging now. Like like I made it way less demanding. I'll reintroduce myself because it was lagging out before. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm the one who came up with this idea, and we have Emil here, who was on the other podcast. He already introduced himself, and yeah, we have Stunky,
Yeah, I got that.
the
Yeah, I got
Mario
that.
Kart boards
Hello.
Yep.
administrator.
Yep.
So, Emil, fill us in on what we're going to be talking about.
All right. So we are going to be talking about, as the title of the stream indicates, optimizing community functions and processes. This is going to include stuff on Discord and Google Docs
As well as utilization of certain web pages
and websites.
and
Yes,
websites.
indeed. Yep.
So,
Let's see.
let's start out with Google Docs.
Yeah.
So, I made the VR search survey. You got 837 responses. I feel like Google Forms are the best way to get community feedback from a large sample size. Better than a thread poll, better than straw poll, better than a lot of other things. Because with Google Forms, you can require someone to have that email address so that you don't get the duplicates.
Yeah.
It also feels like people will tend to be a little more expressive when it's not like when they know that other people or the whole world isn't really going to be like exposed to what they're seeing. That therefore the
Yeah,
administrators get way more than they're probably going to get on like a thread response or something like that.
Threads
Yeah,
are okay when it
um,
gets to competitive, though, because
yeah.
you obviously get to fine tune who you're talking to. And if you know who's voting, then you can say, well, one team wants this, another team wants that.
Yeah.
But if it's general community, then it's fair enough to have a message at the top of a website like we did with the VR search, where we
Mm-hmm.
had at the top of MK boards a little banner saying, hello, this poll's happening. Feel free to vote. But it has to be spread along a lot of different platforms within the community.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like Google Forms is very easy to spread. Like straw poll was too, but straw poll had it had issues. Like you could have duplicate votes, and I don't know. It just didn't seem very foolproof. And another thing about straw poll versus I guess like Google Forms, I feel like the statistics and the types of questions you can ask are more detailed. You have more options for types of questions.
Yeah.
You got like short response, long response, multiple choice, stuff like that. With straw poll, like you've got
You only get single steps. You only get single
yeah,
steps.
you get your checkbox multiple choice thing. So
Exactly. That's like not really the best thing because like custom
Yeah.
responses are some of the best responses at times.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, you get trolls from time to time, but like they're usually like where some of the best responses come from.
but yeah, even when I did a Google form that didn't have that many responses, it still gave a clear picture of what was going on, what people thought. The HDR survey, high data rate, it seemed like a majority of people definitely do not want lag to be encouraged in the metagame. They want it to be mitigated.
Exactly. This is like really amazing. Like honestly, Google Forms is like something we should have really done a while ago because
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the ideas for what we could ask people about, yeah, that should have probably been a thing sooner, but like now we're like getting the feedback that we were like looking for like at the beginning of all the development of all this.
Yeah.
I think a way to summarize it as well is that if you want a quality of response, you go for Google Docs.
Yeah.
If you're just looking for a number, then obviously a forum or even
Yep.
a poll on a Discord server, like react with a tick or a cross,
Yeah.
that works, but
Yeah.
you don't get you don't get the spread of quality answers. You know, you can't see
Yeah.
if someone's actually taking the poll seriously, because someone could answer or tick a box without even reading stuff if, you know, they don't have to answer, why
Yeah.
did you like this?
Yeah, when it comes to VR search, you know, we had a few threads in the past about it where there was a small vocal response, but
Oh yeah,
it just didn't get taken seriously enough
Mhm.
because it was a small sample size and it was just approached the wrong way. So with Google Forms, we got that large sample size, 837 responses. We got just the right format for people to take it seriously, and we have some really good statistics to go off of, and that really helps our case.
Oh yeah,
So,
for
yeah.
sure.
Um,
I'm
next,
surprised it wasn't incorporated earlier because, like,
Yeah.
honestly, like, it was. If I remember correctly, the VR search discussion all started on the Wii Homebrew website, which really
Yes.
isn't as big as it used to be. If it used to be very big,
Yeah.
or if it ever was, like, Google Forms like really helped us because we were able to spread that data really easily across Discord and MK boards. That way, we were able to get responses from different demographics.
yeah, it like the second place to spread to was MK boards, but
Mhm.
yeah, it didn't see that much success there either.
Yeah.
But yeah, our next topic in regards to Google Docs is Google Drive public folders. So we've already kind of done this like for staff private folders that have all their resources. But I was thinking like you could take all the most useful homebrew channel apps that people would use, drop them in a public Google Drive folder, and then there you go. There's your like collection of stuff that you need, and also like any files that you may need to get started with texture hacking or
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like-
Because like,
music hacking. Just you can just like create these collections of useful stuff as this public Google Drive folder. And another thing that could be done is stuff that the community would want to see that would, I feel like, would be a bit tedious or clunky in a thread, whereas it would probably just be easier in a Google Drive folder. And that would just be taking all like the league logos, putting them all in one folder, and then you'd call that the showcase.
yeah, I like that idea because like when I was doing my analysis videos, obviously I had to find some team logos for the thumbnails, and I was surprised to hear that like I was asking Rush for the logos. I never really got one from him, but like so I had to like ask the team representatives themselves, which I really feel like I shouldn't have to do. I really feel like I should just be able to like either A, get it from someone on WL staff, or be able to have like a public domain where I'm able to access it. And to add on some more stuff about public domain, I get a lot of people asking me about where I find stuff like Revolution, Homebrew Channel, and how to get things for CTGP Revolution on Wii and Wii U. That would also be a really good place to like put all this stuff. Like a Google Doc is really accessible, and you can like easily navigate it with good organization.
Yeah, and you got the folders, you got the whole Dropbox kind of thing going on with the folders,
Yeah.
and it automatically updates. So while people are looking at it, if some new appears, they'll be like, "Oh, a new logo, cool, I'll check it out." It's more
Yeah.
interactive than a
Exactly.
thread because you got to refresh for the thread to update,
Yeah.
and folders just help organization.
Yeah.
That's all I got
I'd
for
say-
Google Docs, but there's probably other stuff that I'd never really put on the outline.
Anything to add, Stunky?
With the logo showcases and stuff like that, it was highlighted a lot in the last few seasons because it's getting to the point where even casters can't find the logos for teams they're meant to make graphics for.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to like directly blame their past manager, but it was getting to the point where it seemed as if even the graphics staff themselves didn't know where the resources were. And that's quite concerning to begin with. And I think now that there's going to be new starts with things like logos and obviously other resources to help people, now is the time to make a Google Drive. There could even be a Google Drive folder where absolutely everyone can add content, and you can have it like, ask a question and you'll get someone who edits the answer in, that kind of thing. Where someone might post a video of them having a problem, let's say they get an error code, and they're like, can someone contact me on this and I'll, have some help or whatever. It's a very versatile kind of thing to have. And, whether it's all in one main folder for the whole community or whether it's split up, I'm not sure that, a basic Google account with 15 gigabytes is going to be enough to store,
Mm-hmm.
ISOs and everything like that all in one. But it would be good if there could be like a master resource.
For ISOs to avoid any like complications, because I know ISOs are a legal gray area. I just recommend rip your disk, rip what you own.
Once again, another resource we can put on to a Google Doc. Most of about
how to rip your disk.
Save Game Manager GX is one of the most important things like that someone.
Well,
can
to
use
get your
like,
save file.
Save games, MEs, and ISOs like.
Well, USB Loader GX would be how you get your ISOs.
Oh really? Oh yeah,
yeah. They're separate things.
Right, yeah. But the save game stuff is like really important if you're like transferring stuff, because like people don't like dealing with FC transfers all the time, or FC updates. My bad.
But yeah, there is a lot of potential for Google Drive folders.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Is there anything else in relation to Google Docs? Maybe Google Sheets. I know we have the new way of doing war tables, which is pretty cool. It's ASCII.
Oh, yeah, Lorenzi stuff, yeah.
So we don't really use slides, war tables anymore that are all on a Google Sheet.
Yeah. You can like put like links to like Google Sheets, or even like save like a bunch of war tables to like one Google slide, like just by copying the image and pasting it maybe.
Well, that's basically what slides thing was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like we have something better than Google Sheets now. But
okay.
I know outside of wars, there's probably some use for Google Sheets.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Like when it comes to meetings, like Google Sheets are pretty useful to make like tables for stuff.
Yeah.
There can still be templates and stuff that Google Sheets would be good for. Let's say people are doing a road to however much VR. There could definitely be some form of template that we could put where it's like race count, and we just auto number it, and we give everyone this template where they can just drop down whatever race they've just played, however much VR they've lost, and what that means. That kind of stuff that could very easily be interesting for, I wouldn't say the more casual, because quite a few people are interested in VR and, whether they've lost it or gained it, regardless of whether it, impacts how their search on, worldwides is actually going at the moment. I know it might change, but, that kind of resource that everyone could use. It's not just a war resource.
Yeah.
Like, the community can definitely benefit, even if it's not just war tables and, competitive resources. We can put video tutorials on how to do stuff, and
Exactly. Yeah.
all that. It's very, very good.
All right. I think that about covers it for Google Docs. Next, we're talking about the utilization of specialized web pages and websites. So the first point for this was for tournaments. We had the tournament wizard, tourney.commies by 255 MP. And we used it for a while, but we came to realize that it allowed alting, and
Yeah.
it lacked features. So if we had like a return of something like it, but it like linked your MK Boards account and had more
Oh, yeah.
fields for like your Twitch stream and your internet speed test, I feel
There
like
needs to be
it
WinFi
would be
integration
the
as well.
ideal way to organize tournaments. Like even through Discord, it's a little clunky to do registration.
Yeah.
I feel like forms are the way to do registration, like a website form, and tourney.commies
Yeah.
was kind of that. It was a wizard.
I like what you said about having MK Boards integration, because that literally gets rid of most of the alting situations. Something that would also be good to go with that would be WeFi console friend code integration if possible, because that way you can easily identify people who are alting by like using a different save game or something and still attach
Mhm.
to the same console.
Yeah.
That's always like a good possibility. I'm pretty sure they use that method to like identify some cheaters on WeFi, if I'm
Yeah,
remembering correctly.
we do. Um, it would have to be private somehow. It's like only admins can see
Oh
that
well, yeah.
stuff.
That I'm pretty sure that's configurable easily. I'm pretty sure that's an easy thing to configure.
Yeah, like 255 MP had some talent, so I like just asking him how we can take like his base project, tourney.commies, and like make it more, I guess, safer in terms of security. Doesn't
Oh yeah.
seem like too big of a stretch.
Of course, visual upgrades would also be updates would also be in the works for that website as well. Since it was kind of it was a little bland, obviously.
Yeah,
I
it
mean, like
was, but it got the
it was still
job
cool.
done.
Like
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I know. I'm just saying. Yeah,
Mhm.
it was how I found out about Mario Kart tournaments, because it was really cool seeing like, and they had regional stuff as well. Like it looked they had it organized into regions. I remember seeing like
Ooh.
Asia, Europe,
Yeah,
and then like America. I remember seeing
that's
that.
pretty cool.
That's how I got like my interest in like finding MarioKart.com. Like I remember like just
Yeah.
seeing that website, and then from there like I found a referral to MarioKart.com. Like he had everything on there. He had like all the resources you needed to find more competitive stuff.
The thing about splitting it up by region, like right now, we have a bunch of regions mingling together, and it creates situations where people from, I guess, non-ideal time zones really get the short end of the stick and can't really play. So when you have it separated by region, and you have enough players from each region, it really helps to alleviate the time zone issues.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's about it on the tourney.commies.
I mean,
When, do
I'd
you have anything to add?
say, looking at a few examples, I mean, dare I say it and shout them out, MK Central have got a system right now where you can put a lot of your basic information in. You can use it as a sign up for tournaments and leagues on their website. They've got direct things where, clans and stuff you can get invited to.
Mm-hmm.
It's that kind of thing, and if there was a way to get it to work on our kind of website, and there are a lot of good ideas like region-based things. Maybe if your IP comes up that you're from a certain location, it'll prioritize, events from that location, for example. It's that kind of stuff that would help our systems work out. I know Beto is working on these kind of things, but there are some kind of roadblocks as well, mainly that when it comes to, you know, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and games like that, you only ever use one friend code.
Mm-hmm.
And what would happen now, and it's the problem that made the registry that WL tried to use for a tiny bit impossible to maintain, because you have so many friend codes, making an update for one would mean you'd have to do a lot of different transactions, and in doing so, it made what in database terms would be a many-to-many relationship, which makes it almost impossible to actually make. I think using Weem5 friend codes would work a lot more, so long as we're at the stage where we can get everyone's Weem5 console code prior to things starting. But it is all down to, you know, when would we be given that kind of window, because for the console IDs alone, they're not the friend codes for the console, they're just the IDs for, you know, the order in which you connected to Weem5 or whatever.
They were the easiest thing to copy and paste when we were gathering information on halts.
But and I'm not going to lie, we asked Weem5 moderators before a few of us were Weem5 moderators to get it, and it took 6 months to get any done, and they weren't actually done by a Weem5 moderator at the time. They were done by basically a friend. So
yeah, some collab.
It was a collaborative effort, but I think the reality is if you're scanning what right now might be 1,400 lines, but that can be multiplied by 4 if you take into account that most people have 4 friend codes in their line.
Yeah.
It gets to nearly 6,000 things you're trying to scan and see what's valid, what friend codes don't exist or are invalid.
So what about those cases where you have friend codes that link to another console?
Well, we had that kind of debate, didn't we, like earlier when we were saying why don't people use their OpenHost manage pages as friend code proof, and it's because
doesn't it show all your consoles and codes all in one page?
That's what I'm saying. If people had that, it'd be a lot easier for us to register people without even having to put their codes in. If we just had a valid photo, you know, we wouldn't have to put the friend code in. We'd just say, well, we'll look after the game, and if it's not valid, then bad luck.
Okay, now now that you bring that up, I wanna bring up a question that was asked earlier in my chat that I didn't see a connection for, but now I'm seeing one. Tech Trucks asks, do you think OpenHost should be an option on CTGP? This type of integration could do some work towards what you're trying to say here, if I'm seeing things correctly, at least.
I think it should be an option, but at the same time, I appreciate that the connection with a Wii Homebrew account is probably very important, because I, as a Weem5 moderator, and I'm sure KD would say, we rely a lot on where it says console owner when we're looking for alts. If someone hasn't got this Wii Homebrew account and it doesn't come up with a console owner, or they haven't associated it with a console owner, you're relying on a console ID that there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of out there to match with one that you can find. And if it's not on your database of ones you've already scanned, or ones that are in the league already scanned, you know, that could be an alt that gets away.
And then it goes down to IP, and even then...
but you can only get IPs if...
Pretty sure Bean can get them. Pretty sure Bean can get them easily, if I remember correctly.
You can get them, or some can get them by performing like kicks and stuff on Weem5, but if you're in the middle of an event, who's to say that kicking is going to be the right thing? Because what if you kick someone that's not an alt and it's the middle of a race?
Yeah, it would cause a lot of issues.
That could be the difference between a team qualifying for a playoff final and not qualifying at all, especially now that with Weemfi League, I think they're trying to make playoffs mean a lot more.
Yeah.
And they're trying to scrap playoffs for formats where it doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, on that topic of just having a valid picture or whatnot of the open host page, that could work for the website based system. So I guess we just have that link attached to each player's name, and that's it. Instead of the database having to keep track of all these codes, it would have to keep track of all these pictures. And, it would be ideal if we had all these pictures on a specific site so that they don't get lost. I know you were working on a URL shortener or something.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's just a case where Beto says, you know what, we'll store them all on our server and delete any old ones, that's fair enough, so long as they're accessible for the public.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, they could even be put onto a Google Drive, like we said before.
Yeah.
We could have, like, a registration admin's Google Drive where they have a folder for each clan, and they just move everyone's FC registration pictures, between the folders when they transfer and stuff.
And just name each picture the name of the player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
yeah,
it wouldn't be the name of the player. It'd probably be website user number, because we've had a case.
That would be easier or more unique.
I think it was Luke or something earlier today where one went to go to the new VA team and the other went to go to Euphoria or something, and neither of them had disclosed what their new website IDs were. So a registration admin didn't go to check the IPs and moved the wrong Luke and nearly got a team not seeded because the team wouldn't have had enough players.
I would have the name and the ID just to make it easier.
Yeah. For sure, that's really important. That type of security is really important.
I feel like that would definitely revolutionize registration, and we'd be able to move to a web-based system without too many complications in terms of database and many-to-many relationships. So I like the idea.
It is a very
I hope
good
it works.
idea.
So
It should work.
I think that is about it for that. Let's move on to the next one. So we're talking about specialized web pages here. I was talking to my friend Lugia. He was in the COD community, and they had this web page for match organization. It was really it was pretty crazy. Stunky called it Game Battles.
Yeah, there's a website called Game Battles that I think he's relating to. It's now a part of the MLG, Major League Gaming kind of setup. It's official, and what happens is you can obviously log in or sign up. You select what game you want to play. So I'm on the website now just so I can get an example. I'd say Call of Duty Black Ops 4. I haven't played the game in years, so don't ask me what the best player is. Then you can, on the right hand side, it says find a team and create a team. Those two buttons are there, as well as obviously a competition schedule where, for example, it says global 1v1 battle. Registration ends at 3:40 a.m. Eastern. The prize is $150. The one below that's a 3v3. The registration ends around the same time for $400. And, it has all the competitions on one side and the teams on one side. and it has ladders and tournaments that you can just select between, and it then has player rankings based upon how many wins and losses a player's got or how many wins and losses a team's got. On this, there are, a number of trophies and point systems, and even things like profile views that might make a difference. But there are also, for some teams, a kind of what I'd call reputation thing, where if some teams have had problems in the past, like say they don't show up, they've got what they'd call a dispute percentage, where let's say they played 5 events and they dropped out of one or had a problem with one, they would have a 20% dispute percentage. And basically, the higher your dispute percentage is, the less likely you are to take part in competitions, because people are going to say, well, no, you've got a low reputation because either you swore at someone in the middle of a game or you dropped out of a competition for no reason. And I think with the regards to Mario Kart Wii and other Mario Kart games, it would be quite important to have that kind of system in play, because newcomers to the competitive scene, if they play 1 or 2 wars and instantly they're getting people that are winning against them and are in their private messages saying you suck and swearing a load, the website can't punish it that much because it's off-site, and a lot of people will just say, well, why don't you hit the block button? If there was a setup where they'd found the match on like a Mario Kart version of Game Battles, they could flag the war with the evidence or whatever, and if it so happened that they were correct to report the war for misconduct or something, it would go on the team's record that they've behaved badly. And if it gets to the point where we punish more behavior, people will know not to do it, so it acts as a deterrent as well.
Yeah, I really like the idea of a reputation system, because there are teams out there who will not treat wars very seriously, or they'll just give like emerging teams like a rough time, or be very unsportsmanlike or just disrespectful. And like just having that indicator of, yeah, if you play against this team, there is a risk of drama afterward. Whereas another indicator of, yeah, that this team is pretty clean, that would be very good for us. Now, you described a lot of things that Game Battles has. Obviously, we wouldn't utilize all of these, especially like
it's a fully fledged system.
Exactly.
It's been around for 15 odd years.
Yeah,
it's owned by MLG, the biggest company
Yeah,
possible for competitive games.
It's huge. Obviously, we wouldn't have anything like player ranks because, well,
Lounge does that mainly.
Yeah, Lounge has
is
that.
mainly responsible for that type of stuff.
Like, and also, it's really hard to gauge for this game in general.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because this game has like way too many things to consider. You can't. There's a lot of aspects to it that you can't really manipulate.
Yeah. But yeah, when it comes to the whole, finding a match, creating a team, yeah, that's pretty cool. The whole creating a team bit is pretty nice. I don't think it's necessary if we had like just like a team registry on site. Like, it's good
What
enough.
could happen is you integrate one into the other. So you have all this team sign up, and then if the team signs up, then you have this league module or whatever where all the tournaments for one game and stuff all tie that one team together.
I can see that for sure.
Yeah. The main thing that I would like to see from it is just like the find a match system. Just, find a game to play.
Yeah.
Because right now, outside of Lounge, our matchmaking ways are very archaic, and there's a high chance that they don't work. Like,
Oh yeah.
They
you,
don't work.
exactly.
They
Like,
don't.
you get 5 people, and then you hope and pray that you find a match. Like,
Mhm.
someone says that they can, and then you have to make sure they can play. And it's like,
Yeah.
if you were just able to just search when you're, like, good to go, or if you were able to schedule something that was more automated, I feel like streamlining that would make wars and other types of matches, even 1v1, uh, a lot easier to get going. So
I
I
mean,
do want to see something like that. That'd be awesome.
some of the problem with finding a war as well is if you go into a war chat and you search 5v5 and someone will say, oh, 5v5, no you. Basically, they say, oh, I don't want to play Xander, 5v5, no Xander,
Yeah.
or something. They've just played against the team, or they've played against the team days ago, and they say, or they accuse you of cheating or something, and
Hmm.
suddenly you're not allowed to play them for years. I mean, there could be a system on this find a game feature where you can highlight people you don't want to play, but the way that it's currently set out is if you say, I don't want to play this team, regardless of the reason, either you get called out for being a chicken, even if the reality is you're playing a team or they're challenging you and you're not able to play or you're significantly weaker than them and don't want to have the challenge at the time, which is fair enough, I guess.
Hmm.
I
Right
think
now, it just gets to a shout and fight battle.
yeah, I think a good way to separate this is to bring back, or not to bring back, to use a lot of this integration into the clan lounge because what's really good about clan lounge is there's separation by tiers, of course, which is really good because there's going to be a lot of instances where higher teams aren't going to want to face lower teams and lower teams are going to want to face someone of their own level, probably not too high. Like this type of system could work really well, and like that can like really work to avoid a lot of different type of scenarios of like, oh yeah, I don't want to play this person because they're in a higher division or something. Like whereas cheaters, I'm not sure how like that would necessarily be addressed, but in terms of tiers, I think the clan lounge tier system would be like the best way to like address that problem.
Definitely. I wanted to bring back Clan Lounge once there was a more streamlined way of organizing wars, because the way we organize wars right now is not very suitable for Clan Lounge at the moment. And
Oh yeah.
if I bring it back, I want it to run smoothly, and I want it to be an
Mm-hmm.
improvement from what it was during the summer that it first ran. And don't get me wrong, the first couple weeks, people loved it
Yeah.
when it was going. We had like 50 events in like the first day or something. It was pretty cool.
50 in one day.
Yeah, it was
Shoot.
yeah, it was big when it first came out. But
That's
like,
really
even if
primitive.
we don't get a website based system for organization, this is all still possible through Discord bots. I was talking to 255 MP about a war bot. I'll go into that more later because right now we're on the
Yeah.
topic of web pages.
Yeah.
But yeah, um, but yeah, to sum it up, if we had a web page system for Mario Kart matches with a reputation aspect, it would help a lot of newcomers out, a lot of emerging teams. It would help the unsportsmanlike situations with clans, and
Yeah.
there might even be a way to point out the clans that just turn down every war. Like you'll know, okay, well
Yeah,
this team doesn't accept anybody. They're too scared. So yeah.
definitely.
The next thing I wanted to talk about for web pages is the website challenge. I think that's how
Yeah.
you say it. Um, for like bracket tournaments, there's not a lot of bracket tournaments that happen in our community, and I feel like they can get a lot of hype. Um, I feel like they're the best like low effort, um, like small amounts. Like you don't need that much dedication compared to a league
Oh
competition
yeah.
that can be hosted in the community, and like it, just span it over a day or two, and like that's it. Uh,
It's a really good bracket system. It gets
like
people like you can get new organizers introduced to it that way, or you can get really easily organizable tournaments. Like it
yeah,
goes on
it
more of
has all
like
the
what we were
features
saying
you need
about.
too.
Yeah, there's like it really works well because now it takes like I mean it takes a little bit of time to like organize like tournaments. I've noticed like it shouldn't take like this much time unless I'm like wrong about this. Like correct me if I'm wrong about this. Like it would definitely like save a lot of time. Like it would probably make it like as it should be.
It should make it as it should be in terms of like seatings and
Mm.
whatnot. If you want to host like a cup and have a bracket stage. Um, did
Yeah, like
Snowdrift or Apace or Inject use challenge, or did they just do
All
their
three of them
own?
use
They
challenge.
did use it.
All
Okay,
three of them.
yeah, and those
It's a
tournaments were
very
pretty.
good platform.
Yeah, those tournaments were successful, and they utilized challenge. Like having more of those tournaments, and also Sabby was trying to host this 2v2 bracket where
mhm.
it's just 2v2, but it was a bracket.
That seems like
And
a really nice idea actually.
yeah,
Like
EL EL were looking towards doing another Snowdrift based tournament as well. So
hmm.
there's definitely the interest to run it. It's just down to finding the right platform for each event, and whereas FFAs might be good on that, the integrated website idea. Challenge right now is definitely the best for brackets,
yes.
especially if you have a group stage before the bracket, because they do group stages as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, there was another thing I wanted to talk about. Um, so
In
like in
terms of web
regards
pages.
to tournaments like Snowdrift, registration. Would there be a way to do? Actually, can you do registration through challenge, or is it just creating a bracket?
I think it's just creating a bracket. What
Okay.
happened with Snowdrift is people would physically post their
Okay.
team sign up with all their players and their FCs listed.
Yeah.
I,
And after a certain point, we'd make it so that no one could edit their posts in the section temporarily
yeah.
while they were on record. And then we made like it might have been a sheet or a paste bin or something like that where we just kept them all as reference.
Yeah, that seems pretty sufficient, I guess, to just use a thread for
That's the
that.
idea.
Google Forms could also work for that. There's a lot of different ways to get that working, so
Hmm.
that's not too bad. Uh, I was wondering how it was on my mind. I guess it was something about. It was either was it alting? Yeah, it was
Yeah, yeah.
alting, but like I guess just posting on the forum would solve that.
I mean,
Well, not
in
always. I'm
some,
pretty sure. Didn't I don't want to. I don't mean to like. I mean, I can only think of like bringing it up with a name, but like divide. Didn't he have like a case of like alting on MK boards, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, what happened there was that it was a tournament where you didn't have to be signed up to a league.
Mm,
And whereas nowadays with WL especially, you get checked, every sign up gets checked
yep.
prior to the season. What happened was, I think this was, I'm not trying to say that it's a bad tournament organizer, but I think it was Declan's free for all or something at the end of one of the years. And Declan's a very good free for all host,
He's done a
but
lot of free for
he's
alls.
done a
Oh
lot. I
yeah.
think there are only a few people that have probably actually hosted more in history, and most of them were before Weemfire existed. I don't think I've hosted a personal free for all in about 3 years,
Me
but I
either.
know
Yeah.
I've hosted quite a lot over the time. And who was it? The Italian Blue Falcon or something was it? Who? Oh no, it was Falcon or someone who
Falcon
made like
XD.
hundreds. Falcon XD. There we go. He had hundreds of free for alls. But yeah, Declan had this one particular one where Divide had a friend or something who signed him up, and obviously because he's not logged in to his main account on MK boards for so long because he was banned,
Yeah.
what happened was when he finally got unbanned, it triggered the IP check that the person that was playing in the free for all, and this was it's like 3 or 4 months on, the person that was playing in the free for all in November was Divide getting unbanned in March, according to the IPs.
Yeah.
But if you have a requirement where everyone has to sign up for a league, maybe even a requirement where upon signing up for a league, Weemfi moderators are allowed to give you a kick so they can get the IP or something as well to make sure there's no foul play going on. That kind of stuff does help out a lot to minimize ults. It's never going to be a flawless system because people can try thousands of different ways to get past the checkup. Like if someone is banned for something that was 5 years ago and never had an account on the sites, they'll obviously never come up if they've got a new console and stuff, but
Mhm.
it will catch the majority if there are requirements like they must be signed up for an approved league, they must go through these checks.
Yeah.
That would really help a lot.
So, I finally remembered what I wanted to talk about for tournaments like this, and it applies to all tournaments. I know most people they sign up with just their name and a friend code, but you've shown me today that there's a lot of things that can be done to manipulate friend codes and pictures.
Lots of things.
Yeah, so
Oh yeah.
like, what if league registration was also tournament registration? So like that picture of the open host page, because it's just that one picture. I feel like you could apply that same type of registration process to other competitions besides the league.
Well, what you could do in the current system is, let's say we do an MK Central for sign up yourself, put your own FC in, put your own Discord in and all that, make your profile.
Yep.
And from that, you can have one profile that's linked to, let's say, a Clan Lounge clan,
Okay.
a WL clan, an EL clan, and all these clans just can be in their own database.
Yeah.
But obviously, one player can only go to one clan, and therefore it's not a many-to-many, it's a one-to-one. Or
Yeah.
many players going to... Or one
One.
player going to many clans or whatever. It's not
Oh, yeah.
as hard to program. And in that regard, you could then obviously just have tournaments where it's, press the button, basically. You've
Oh, that
already
would
got
be-
your FCs stored
That would be awesome.
on your profile.
Yeah.
So, if someone does a tournament, it would just be sign in via your MK Boards account and just click a button.
Yeah.
That
That
would
would
help a lot.
definitely be the best setup.
And then along with that, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna bring up something like it's gonna be a little that I'll like elaborate more on later. But like MogiBot has a feature where you can verify who's in a room and whether that FC matches their Discord tag that they're signed up with. You know?
Yeah, it verifies the IP of the
Yeah. Yep.
of the two things.
Exactly.
The one thing with that kind of issue, though, is if someone gets banned, changes their IP, and they stick their Discord into the bot or whatever, and, records the IP, it's going to be different to when they were banned, because the bot doesn't have to record the IP all the time or whatever. It just has to record the location when you register or when you sign up or when you add the FC or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another reason why things like getting IPs based off of, the exact connection that the Wii's using is useful, because there was a case a few weeks ago. It was a Fizz ult, and he'd been playing in the lounge for about 2 months. It was, oh no, would have been about a month. It was the middle of December when he started playing, and he'd made it all the way to silver.
Mm-hmm.
And this was because he'd not ever joined the lounge before, or he'd had a different IP, and he had a different IP to the old MK boards. He had a different IP to his attempt to sign up on the new MK boards. This alt did. The only reason that someone found him was because I kicked the person suspected of being an alt at the very end of a war where, I knew that he was disconnecting from WeamFi anyway, so it wouldn't have caused any harm if it wasn't an alt. But then a day after, Fizz comes up with an FC. Another WeamFi moderator, asks why he's playing. I click the ban button, and in the history, it's the suspected alt under the same IP that Fizz is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We IPs are just as important as forum and Discord IPs nowadays, because you never know when an IP is going to change, or a banned player's been there or not connected for so long where it might have changed.
Yeah.
Alright, so that about covers it for challenge and just the web pages / websites bit. Let's talk about Discord bots.
Yeah.
So the first point I want to bring up is when MogiBot came into Lounge, it basically revolutionized Lounge. It made it super easy, super streamlined, and it just cemented its presence in the community. I don't think anybody can deny that.
Correct. That was very, very true.
Yeah.
After it came in, all other forms of matches in the community just became archaic because of how much effort it took to organize them and how not streamlined they were. So I was talking to 255 MP about a warbot, and he is interested. We haven't started the gathering feedback portion of our plan yet, but he is interested. My idea was you would type, your prefix for the command and then your war size, and then you get put into a queue. And it would go by a database storing Discord tags.
Yeah.
So, the tag of the person. So, in the queue, you'll see the list of players who are searching for that particular size. If you want to remove yourself from the queue, you would take the same command, but you'd put no at the beginning of it. So if you can't 5v5, no 5v5, or I just feel like can't 5v5 is a bit long, so just no 5v5.
That, and in command terms, if you put an apostrophe, it might
would mess
up
yeah.
the command. Yeah.
Yeah. So no 5v5. Some other ideas I had were scheduling. We don't do enough scheduling around the community. We're growing up, we're getting jobs, and we don't have as much free time. I know there are still some people, like some new people coming in that have that free time. They're young, they're in high school or middle school, and they have that free time to do spontaneous wars. But a lot of us have grown up, and we need schedules. We need to schedule stuff in order for it to be feasible. So I was thinking for the bots, it would be similar. You do your prefix and the war size, but then you do dash, and then there's room for 1 or 2 digits, and then either minutes, hours, or days represented by M, H, or D. So, and then that would delay when you get put into the queue by that amount of time, or it would just make a separate queue, like a waiting queue, for that amount of time. And then when it expires, you get put into the main queue. Now, back to the main queue, if nothing is able to happen after you say you can, you've got an hour to find a match. After you're saying, after you're in the can queue. So the queue will never be overrun with old match requests. It'll always be up to the latest hour, which I think is reasonable.
An hour is reasonable.
I don't exactly know how accepting a war would work, but with how advanced MogiBot is and what 255 MP has done, I'm sure he can figure it out. We were talking about
Based on the into the queue would probably be a list, obviously, each labeled by a number. Then you can do a command like accept and then the size and then dash which number of the size that you want.
Yeah. Or in the queue, have each Discord tag for the users be numbered, and then can size to specify which queue you're saying can to, and then which person in the queue you're saying can to. And then I guess the bot will tag that person.
Yeah.
And maybe then it could go to... Because I know we were talking about somehow implementing bagging formats into it. I don't think it's necessary, but it would be cool. And we'd either have Sui, Troll, or All Run. And maybe the bot could handle that, and then they'd probably handle the rest in DM or something. Or if the bot is really advanced, it could handle host friend codes, but I don't think it'll get that far. But just having the queuing system with the scheduling would be huge. Huge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's feasible, and it would work well with the idea that me and you were talking about in regards to, league scheduling and competition scheduling as well, because obviously if you've already submitted at the start of a season, the clan I'm in can only play between, let's say, 2 Eastern and 5 Eastern on a Saturday for this particular league. Then what will happen is, obviously, if you can war outside that time as a team, you say want practice before a match, you can schedule your war to happen in time for the match to be over before the league match.
Exactly.
And I think that's quite important, because nowadays you have cases where people do practice wars, but because it takes so long to find things, and because they haven't scheduled it correctly, or they don't give themselves enough time,
they either don't finish the match or they're late to their league match.
And there have been cases before of teams where they've completely lost track of time. The reps haven't even sent a host, and they've almost given a free win off of it because they've not been there. Yeah. They're still halfway through another war that they then have to ditch, and by ditching that war, it gives a bad image on them, because we're also in an environment where not everyone plays everything. There's
Yeah.
there's a lot of opportunities to play. There's a lot of leagues, like we said already with Challenge or whatever. There's going to be a lot more tournaments in the near future as well.
Yeah.
So you can't just say, "Oh well, let's say I'm playing Turtle Team." I can't then assume that they're going to be willing to stop a war for my EL match if they're not playing EL.
Yeah.
But if there is a scheduling system on that bot, it makes it even more feasible.
Yeah, that way
Yeah.
you're not gonna have to deal with those types of situations. Like a lot.
Yeah. I'll try to talk to him again when it's feasible, when he's not busy, because I do want to get the collecting feedback part of the plan started. Because I guess we were just gonna either make an announcement in Lounge or something, tag everyone, see what they want from the bot, what
Yeah.
features, and they could offer their input on it. Because if 255 MP does this, he wants to do it right, and I definitely agree with him. This is something that definitely benefits from feedback.
I know we were talking earlier about quality of feedback. That's definitely going to need a long, lovely Google form to get proper feedback on what features people think are worth it, what they think about the features that are already proposed. It's not the kind of thing that a small poll would do. It's the kind of thing that you might want to spread, have the banner at the top of the site. I'm more than happy to put one there.
Yep.
Google
All that kind of stuff. A Google form, which leads us back to the first topic we did.
We're full circle. Hell yeah. But I feel like this is something that also, I feel like discussion is a necessity for this one.
Oh yeah.
Not just a feedback form, but an actual discussion needs to spark in regards to this bot and what should happen with it. Because buried in that, how many players are in Lounge now? 1,400? 1,300? I don't know. It's over 1,000. There's definitely someone who has knowledge of coding a Discord bot, and they could think of some outside of the box feature, and it would just something really woke, and it's just oh shit, discussion is very important for a project like this.
Oh yeah.
There are a number of people who've made bots in the community already, aren't there? There's Y21 who's made one of the Weemfi bots. There's
Cinda,
obviously Cinder and those kind of people. So there's going to be experience. It's just making sure that they're all, or that the bot, the things we want to do with it are actually possible, and we've got the help if we want it.
Yeah. I've already mentioned that we have bots for scorekeeping already. We got Toadbot and the verification bot for Lounge. So yeah, Warbot does not seem unfeasible. We could use bots for more than just war organization. We could try some for maybe worldwides. I know Josh, he made this MKW voice chat thing. It creates a voice channel based on what Weemfi room you join, and I'm not really sure how he was able to do that. But Discord is definitely a lot more open-ended than Skype, just with what you can do with coding and whatnot, and yeah.
It's a lot more free for developers.
Yeah, it's awesome.
There's a whole website where it's just Discord developers and development, where you can get all the information on the inner workings of how it works. It's not like Skype, where they're really scared of showing you how it works, but they're the most vulnerable piece of communication software possible, because you used to be able to get IPs and DDoS people. Obviously, not promoting DDoSing anyone, but it used to be possible, and I know it used to be possible because we used to use it to catch alts back in the really old days of James Costelli, back when he was one of the most notorious alts. Now we've got people like Fizz who do a few, and we have to catch them via WeamFi. But before WeamFi, it was all get your IPs done via Skype.
Yep.
Huh.
But yeah, like even during just the discussion about the warbot, like if someone brings up an idea for a bot for another application in the community, you know, that would be pretty dope. Like
Yeah.
I always like seeing new ideas. Ideas only go so far though. Like action needs to
sure.
be taken, or you know the idea is wasted, and it's a shame to see wasted potential. And that's the main point of this podcast. It's to get discussion going, to get people talking, and when people talk, it tends to lead to a higher chance of action being taken on good ideas rather than letting these ideas just be left to be forgotten and become wasted potential. So, is there anything else we want to add in regards to like the main topic of just optimizing community functions and processes, or are we good?
I think we're pretty good on that, aren't we?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. Having an outline really helped this one. I hope you guys enjoyed the splash screen. That was courtesy of Ark. You may know him from Adrenaline Studios. They were a short-lived YouTube channel that did multi-editor montages. He's a carder. You'll sometimes see him on like sword streams.
Oh yeah.
He's cool. So yeah, huge credit to him for the splash screen. Turned out pretty good.
Looks really nice. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. All right. I don't really have a topic in mind for the next stream yet, but I'll come up with one soon, and I'll announce it on the thread I made for this podcast, and maybe on Twitter as well.
Yeah, I'll definitely promote this on Twitter as well. Yeah.
We might have another guest. We might not. It might just be me and Emil on the next one. But thanks for being here, Stunky. Really appreciate it. You had a lot of insight. It really added to what the podcast offered.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, thanks for letting me be on this. It's been great, and yeah, I think the notes and everything did help make sure we've stayed on track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Biggest improvement from last one for sure. Like, without a doubt.
All right, guys. That'll do it for us. So we'll catch you later.
All right. Signing off on my end as well. See you guys on the next stream.